I was scrolling through my Instagram feed when I stumbled across a 3D creation from Sweeper 3D, an awesome 3D artist. And I love the aesthetic of it. And since we have winter season and I never attempted a winter-like scene, I thought to myself, can I recreate this in Blender by myself? That's what I'm trying to achieve in this video. Let's find out if I will succeed or fail. This video is sponsored by Renderfarm, but more on that later. Usually I start my scene with some already built assets from Sketchfab, but because I know some kid will write in the comments that I should have modeled it by myself, I set myself a new challenge to model a house. Let me remind you, I'm not a model expert, but I tried my best. Anyways, I start out with a cube and extrude some faces, insert some others and scale some edges, until I have a horrible looking base model. Why I also don't like modeling is because it will look like absolute garbage for 90% of the time, only in the last few tweaks it will look actually good. And to push through that until you are there is very hard. I also wanted to create an upper deck kind of element, confused on how to do that with a plane. I just added a cube and scaled the top face. On top there I created a smaller house just for some details. Another cube got extruded and scaled to create the chimney. With some simple poles on the side and in the front it started to look like something. With the curve I started creating this particular shape, converted it into a mesh, extruded and beveled it. These are the supports for the poles and a cute decoration piece. With some more stretched cubes, which should represent logs, I added more details to the house. Separated the roof faces, extruded them to give it some more depth. Quite happy with the progress so far. I added a base on which the house should stand on and a cute little stair. With the Boolean modifier and a cube I cut out some holes for windows. As always I decorated them with some more stretched out cubes. For now my house is kind of finished and I'm quite happy with it. I will texture it later in the video, but just that process took me around 1.5 hours. And I haven't even started with the scene yet. I would appreciate if you could like and watch this video until the end, which helps me grow my channel. To create an accurate render, I tried to match the sizes of my object to real world sizes. I even looked up what focal length a landscape photographer would use and settled with 30mm. With the camera in place, I switched to sculpting mode, activated dynamic typology and started modeling the scenery. I wanted the path leading to the house, which should be in a forest-like area surrounded by snow. I added a second plane with a small hill behind it, where I wanted to scatter some trees for the background. With the built-in A and T landscape tool, you can create some good looking landscapes and you can modify it to your needs. I scaled them up pretty big to kinda match the real world size and scattered them in the background. Because I forgot an important step for texturing these mountains, I had to do them later again. That's why they will look a little bit different in the end. Such big scenes take a lot of time to render. That's why I'm sponsored by Renderfarm for this video. With Renderfarm, you can easily upload all your animations from a large variety of softwares and render them in the cloud. This saves you a ton of time and even more if you don't have a super crazy computer. You can render with CPU and GPU, and they currently also have a crazy sale going on where you get 100% bonus on CPU and 50% bonus on GPU rendering. That means if you buy $500 worth of CPU rendering, you get an extra $500 on top, and $250 if you buy GPU rendering coupons. I tried it out myself and it's so easy. Simply drag your Blender file in it, select if you have used any plugins, choose the frames you want to render and off you go. It will upload the scene and instantly render it out. The cost depends on the scene, but my frames in this case only cost me 15 cents. So what are you waiting for? Click the link below and try it out for yourself with the free $25 coupon you get by just logging in. Quixel Bridge had an update recently which allows you to download all the assets again. I searched some nice snow and rock objects, but the textures are still missing when you export it to Blender. To manually import them, you need to right-click the asset and select Go to File. Copy the path of the folder, and in Blender, select the object you want, go into the Shadings tab, and with the Principled BSDF active, you press Ctrl, Alt and T. Now you paste the path in you copied before to find the texture maps, and select all the textures you want, like normal map, diffuse, roughness, etc. After importing, Blender sets up the texture perfectly. You don't have to do anything else. I scattered these assets manually over the scene and also change the ground to a snow material. For the trees I used the Botanic add-on, and if you haven't heard of them, it is crazy. They have the best library for vegetation elements. You can adjust each tree individually, change the season of the tree, which also changes the color of the leaves and adds snow in the winter. I found some cute Christmas trees with some snow and placed them in the foreground, and I also find some different types which I manually placed in the background. I could have scattered them on the hill I created before, but I wanted to have some more control, so I placed them manually. The scene starts to come to life. As I told you before, I had to redo the mountains because you can go into the tool settings and select Landscape Eroder. This creates these cool weight paint layers that can help you texture the mountains with different materials such as rock and snow. All you have to do is create a material with two principal BSDFs, one is the rock and one is the snow material, combine them with a mix shader node and also add an attribute node. To see that, go into the vertex paint mode and select vertex color from weight. This creates a vertex group which I called COL. Type the same name into the attribute node in the shader editor, add a color ramp in between, and now you can control the snow and rock layer with the slider. This creates a realistic looking mountain texture. To make the transition between the snow and the rock even better, add in a noise texture and mix it with the attribute. With the mountains done, it was time to change the scene light. First I tried some HDRIs, but nothing really convinced me. So I looked for a sky add-on and found Skylab, which is free to download. With only pressing one button, I instantly fell in love with this add-on. It creates everything for you: the light, the atmosphere, and even clouds. The controls are near endless, but also super easy to adjust. I played around with it for a few minutes and I got what I wanted. So it was time to face the last challenge: texturing my house. For the base I used a stone material from the Blender Kit add-on, where you can also search for nice textures. I also used the displacement node, which gave me good realistic results, but also some artifacts. Because I won't see them in the final render, I just left it like that. The stairs I brought over into the sculpting tab to draw over it with a rock brush to create more realism. Maybe it looks a bit trashy, but it was good enough for me. For the poles, I used a wood material and simply cube projected it onto them. For the house, I wanted a material with bigger logs and I settled with this one, but changed it later to that texture. The chimney got this brick texture, and to break the pattern a bit, I multiplied it with a noise texture and a color ramp. The roof got a roof tiling texture, also with displacement, so it doesn't look so flat. I found a door texture online and selected the face where the door is. Create a new material and hit assign, so this material is only used for the selected face. I did the same thing with the windows, but this time I just moved the metallic and transmission slider up and added a noise texture for the roughness channel. The last thing was the middle roof, which also got the roof tile texture and some wood textures on the sides. With all that, my house texture was finally finished. And I have to say, I am super proud of this. I know it's not perfect, but it's more than enough for this scene. To create a snow layer on top of the roof, you can use the Real Snow add-on, which is built in Blender. Just select your object or faces where you want snow, change the coverage and height and press Add Snow. Even though this looks quite cool, be careful because the snow has a super high poly count and it made my scene quite laggy. For some finishing details, I scattered some grass plants on the ground that push through the snow and a smoke PNG that sits right above the chimney. After all that, I went back and checked out the artwork from Sweeper 3D again and realized that his scene was a night setup. The whole time I imagined a day scene, but maybe my brain was damaged from all the bad modeling. However, I also went off cam and changed the light setup to a night scene. Now are you ready for the final two artworks, one at day and one at nighttime? Sit back and enjoy. I have to be honest, I am super proud of these two artworks. I never thought in the beginning that it will turn out like that, but I'm super happy I pushed through the hard parts. Tell me your opinion about it and maybe what I should recreate next, and as always, keep pushing boundaries.